Hey, what's up, good people? I'm QC. Welcome to this Talking and Grubbing live stream. Yeah, it's been a minute since I've done any videos or live streams, but I was out with my girl for the Taste of Chicago, and also I've done a video. I'm working on a video showcasing some of the food I sampled while I was there. So that's gonna be posted soon. Will P, what's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for joining me. Excuse me. Yes. Well, NFL, start of the NFL season is getting closer and closer. Preseason will be coming up in the next couple of weeks. Excuse me. Will P, I'm doing good, man. Thanks for asking. How are you doing? For those you joining the live stream, is this your first time? Welcome. Don't make this your last time. Subscribe to the channel. When you do, click on the bell icon. That way you won't miss any new videos or upcoming live streams from me. Okay, Will P, yeah, you a Panthers fan, so you feeling fine. So, Will P, how do you feel about your Panthers this season? How do you think they'll do? And if you think they're going to make the playoffs, how far you think they'll go? Got to get this out to the people, let everybody know that I'm on live right now. Okay, Will P, you think your Panthers will make it to the NFC Championship? Okay. Fisted Waffle, what's up, man? How you doing? For joining me. So yeah, I'm here with my Cleveland Browns training camp preview for 2019. But before I start, I've showcased this on a previous video about last year, but I'm gonna get into these wild cherry ices. Intelligent Psycho, what's up, man? How you doing? How do you feel about your Lions this season? Yes, Fist Waffle, I am a Browns fan. Yes, sir. And that's what this live stream is about tonight. This is my Cleveland Browns training camp preview. But within the next few weeks, I will be doing a live stream giving my breakdown of each division in the AFC and the NFC. So y'all tune in for that. Okay, Intelligent Cycle, you're very optimistic about your Lions. You think y'all making the playoffs and y'all going to be Super Bowl bound. Okay. Okay, Fisted Waffle, you're a Falcons fan. So how you feel about your Falcons this season? Now, as y'all all know, the Cleveland Browns finished the 2018 season with a 7-8-1 record. And rookie quarterback Baker Mayfield broke the rookie touchdown record that was set by Peyton Manning and Russell Wilson previously. Also, Denzel Ward had a pretty good rookie year as a quarterback. Running back Nick Chubb came very close to rushing for 1,000 yards in his rookie year. And also, the Browns finished the season strong as they moved on from Hugh Jackson to the defensive coordinator Greg Williams temporarily, and promoted, and also fired Ty Haley along with Hugh Jackson midseason, replaced running backs coach Freddie Kitchens as offensive coordinator. Fisted Waffle said think the Falcons will do okay. Hope they don't blow the Super Bowl again. So you really think the Falcons are a Super Bowl contender, Fisted Waffle? But now the Browns win got better in the offseason. They made a big blockbuster trade by trading Odell Beckham Jr., one of the best wide receivers in the game, and linebacker Olivier Vernon. And for OBJ, all they had to trade was the 2019 first round pick, another pick in Jabril Peppers. They also got better in free agency by signing such free agents as Sheldon Richardson. Then in the draft, they drafted players such as LSU cornerback Greedy Williams, as well as linebacker Sion Taki. I like saying that name. That's a cool name. And also, they promoted Freddie Kitchens from running backs coach to offensive coordinator to head coach. So now, Freddie Kitchens is the man who will be at the helm, and all the responsibility will be on him. Fisty Waffle, I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. You hope, okay, Intelligent Cycle, you say you hope OBJ don't cause too many distractions on the field. Well, we'll wait and see. But so far, he hasn't really caused a lot of distractions. Actually, he's been a model citizen since he's been here in Cleveland. So far. But, I mean, yeah, OBJ, he has issues in New York, but I don't think it was 100% his fault. I really don't. I don't think it was 100% his fault. Okay, Fisted Waffle, do I think the Rams are going to do good this year? I think so. I think they'll be good, but it's going to depend on Todd Gurley's health and can Jared Goff bounce back from that horrible game he had in the Super Bowl. If that's where that's going to lie. But now let me get into this Browns training camp preview. Okay? Things you don't have to worry about. Quarterback is set because you got Baker Mayfield going into his second year. Wide receiver, you got great wide receivers in OBJ, Jarvis Landry, who played together at LSU. Also, Antonio Callaway had a pretty solid rookie year. Excuse me. You still got Rashard Higgins. Excuse me. Also, the Browns, they're pretty deep at corner with Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams. Make sure I got my depth chart here. Terrence Mitchell, Eric Murray. Definitely like their cornerback depth. But I also have concerns, especially the offensive line. That's the number one concern for me, especially at right guard. Last year's second round pick, Austin Corbett is replacing Kevin Zeitler, who went who got traded to the New York Giants in the Olivier Vernon trade, excuse me. So that's left a hole there. I'm curious to see who's going to step up and really is Austin Corbett going to step up and take that position, or are you going to have cats like Brian Williamson or Willie Wright to, take it from him? Okay, Fisted Waffle, all right, see you. But yeah, that's the main thing that concerns me is the offensive line with the Browns. I definitely like Kevin Zeitler. Also, another concern, well, not a concern, but a question mark. Greg Robinson. Now, Greg Robinson, he did pretty good, excuse me, when, after the Browns claimed him off of waivers. And also, a lot of people forget that he was the second pick of the Rams a few years ago, but he's never panned out in his stops in, St. Louis and Detroit, respectively. So I'm anxious to see, is Greg Robinson that true left tackle that the Browns can depend on to protect Baker Mayfield? Or will they go to a Ray John Armstrong or Brian Fina Ganfo? I hope I said his name right. I really hope I said his name right. Excuse me. Also left guard. Now, Joe Bitonio, definitely one of the best left guards in the NFL. But my question is, if, say, he goes down for a certain period of time, or if Freddie Kitchens pulls him out to just, take a breather, who's going to step up in his place? They signed Eric Kush from the Chicago Bears in the offseason. Also, they invited Drew Forbes to camp. So who's going to be that second left guard to back up Joe Bitonio if he were to, have an injury? Let me knock off some wood. Or if just Freddie Kitchens takes him out, on a few plays for a breather or two. Can Forbes or Kush step up and be that guy to still protect Baker Mayfield on a consistent basis? Excuse me. That's what I want to know. I'm about to get another icy. Now let me switch it back over to the defense. Another concern I have, is linebacker. All right, Intelligent Cycle, man. See you, man. Thanks for stopping by. Is linebacking crew. Is Christian Kersey going to step up, or is this his last year with the Browns? Or will Sion Taki be a first-day starter? Because Christian Kersey is definitely getting older now, and plus, the Browns have drafted and brought in more athletic linebackers. So I want to see if he can step up in this camp, or will Sion Taki outshine him? And also, I have my questions at strong safety. There's not a lot of depth at strong safety. I mean, you have a veteran, Morgan Burnett. I mean, yeah, he was great with the Green Bay Packers when they won the Super Bowl back in 2010. But within the last few years, he's declined. I mean, he played with the Pittsburgh Steelers last year. You didn't even know he was on the team. So I want to see who's going to step up and take that strong safety position by the horns. Will it be Morgan Burnett or Jermaine Whitehead or Cedric Redwine, who they drafted in later rounds in this year's draft? You know, I definitely want to see who's going to shine at strong safety in this training camp to be the day one starter against the Tennessee Titans at First Energy Stadium. Excuse me. Also, tight end. Now, David Njoku, he's definitely done his thing his first couple of years in the NFL, but who's going to step up behind him? Seth DeVal, definitely like him, very likable player, but he's been injury prone the last couple of years. You know, but when he's healthy, he could definitely go and ball out. So will Seth DeVal stay healthy this year? Because I think in this training camp, he's walking on a very, very tight rope. You know, there's cats like Orson Charles behind him. Also, John Dorsey brought in from Kansas City. Make sure I got his name right. Excuse me. Demetrius Harris. You know, so that tight end. So Seth DeVal only has a little room for error in this training camp, because if he doesn't have a good show in this training camp, then I think he's definitely has a great chance of getting cut. Excuse me. Definitely has a chance of getting cut. Also, definitely got to talk about Duke Johnson. As y'all know, last month, Duke Johnson requested a trade from the Browns because he had heard his name being put in trade talks before he requested a trade. He fired his former agent, who's the wife of founder Luke Campbell, and hired Drew Rosenhaus, one of the most powerful sports agents. Now, I definitely don't think the Browns are going to trade Duke Johnson. I think he will be here in Cleveland when they start against the Titans, but that's just my prediction. Anything can happen. But I definitely expect Duke Johnson to be the day one starter behind Nick Chubb. And plus, I want to see if Dontre Hillard, another running back they brought in, can shine, to make Duke Johnson even more expendable. But I think Duke Johnson shouldn't be requesting a trade from the Browns because, for one, he really has, the Browns are going to get to basically little or nothing for him. What they're going to get is a 3rd round to 6th round pick at the most. He definitely doesn't garner another player that can help the Browns in return right now. So I definitely think Duke Johnson should just ride this season out, especially these first 8 weeks, because Kareem Hunt, who I forgot to mention, another free agent they signed, he's going to be out 8 weeks due to his suspension from that incident he had with that woman in Cleveland back in February. Back last year in, downtown Cleveland at the hotel. So if Duke really wants to increase his value and be traded, these first 8 weeks will be the perfect opportunity to do it. Because if you can really shine, rushing as well as receiving the ball out the backfield and getting good yardage, and even scoring some touchdowns, then that would shoot your value up, and teams will look at, would definitely pay closer attention to you. Excuse me. But to me, I think Duke Johnson, is very sour about the fact that they brought in Kareem Hunt, and he felt like, they bring, you got a up and coming running back in Chubb, and you got a Pro Bowl running back in Kareem Hunt, then what's, where's room for me? Where my touch is going to come from? So I think that's the reason why Duke wants out. Now, also, another thing, Freddie Kitchens. I definitely like his passion. I like his attitude. But how will he handle, this being his first time as a head coach? He has major personalities in that locker room in Baker Mayfield, the superstar in OBJ. Some people say Jarvis Landry has a big personality, but I don't see it. Jarvis Landry doesn't strike me as a big personality. Passionate, yeah, especially in that that speech he gave on Hard Knocks last year. Heck, listen to that speech, that made me want to get out and go running. But I don't think Jarvis is a big personality. But how is he going to handle this locker room? What will he do? What will he say? What will he do to make this 53-man roster unite behind him, ride or die with him? And make players play for him. Now, the guys that were here last year already have that relationship with him in a Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, Batonio, Njoku, Ward, Terrence Mitchell, Demarius Randall. They already have that relationship with Freddie Kitchens. So now the new guys that are coming in, like OBJ, Olivier Vernon, Sheldon Richardson, excuse me, Greedy Williams. How will they build a relationship with him? How will he get these guys to, motivate these guys to do their best on the field every Sunday? Well, not just every Sunday, but every Sunday, Monday nights, Thursday nights, even Sunday nights, since the Browns have a Sunday night game against the Rams in week 3. So I'm definitely interested to see how Freddie Kitchens is really going to do his first year as a head coach. And also, what kind of relationship he'll have with his coordinators. He brought in Steve Wilks as the defensive coordinator and Ty Monken as the offensive coordinator. Now, Steve Wilks, he was the head coach of Arizona. He got fired in the middle of last season, which I think was unfair because all the stuff that went down in Arizona wasn't really his fault. He didn't have no talent. What was he supposed to do? But before that, he was the defensive coordinator with the Carolina Panthers the year they went to the Super Bowl a few years ago. And Ty Monken, he was the offensive coordinator in Tampa Bay, where they were ranked top 10 in overall passing. But according to sources, Freddie Kitchens will be calling the offensive plays. But it will basically be him and Monken collaborating on coming up with plays. But Freddie Kitchens will be calling the plays just like Mike McCarthy did when he was the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. So I definitely want to see how that relationship is going to play out between him and Ty Monken. Can Ty Monken take a back seat to Freddie Kitchens and let him call the plays, or will he try to overstep his bounds and will lead to him and Freddie Kitchens clashing? But excuse me, I think Freddie Kitchens will make a good head coach because listening to him in press conferences and interviews, he's consistent, and I think that's what makes great coaches like your Bill Belichick, your Bill Parcells, your the late Chuck Knowles, Mike Shanahan, Mike Tomlin, Sean Payton. all of them, they're themselves. Andy Reid, they're themselves. No matter what. No matter if they're talking to somebody in the offices of the team facility or they're talking to the media, they stay themselves. They don't change for nobody. They don't try to be something that they're not. I know some people think a head coach is supposed to be the rah-rah guy all the time, but no. The great coaches stay themselves no matter what sport. That's how they stay successful. They stay themselves and they stay true to themselves and to the system, that that they're implementing. So I think Freddie Kitchens is already on the fast track with that. He's being himself. He's not being somebody that he's not. He doesn't come off fake. He just comes off real and consistently stays himself. As a matter of fact, players like Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry said that no matter what, he stays himself. So that's one great quality I like in a head coach, that stays themselves. Also, I gotta talk about it, the hype. How will this team live up to the hype? Just about 2 years ago, they were 0-16, and the year before that, they were 1-31. And last year, they finished 7-8-1. Now, this team acquired a lot more talent. They acquired one of the best wide receivers in the game. Also, drafted some pretty good players and also landed some good free agents as well. And everybody expects them to at least be a playoff team. Some even expect them to be a Super Bowl team. I'm not ready to go there yet, but hey, if that's how some people feel, that's how some people feel. But how will they live up to the expectations of trying to make the playoffs for the first time since 2002? Can Baker Mayfield be a leader of men in his second year? Which I definitely think he can, because cats like Carson Wentz, Deshaun Watson, they they had success in a short period of time. Hey, technically, even though Carson Wentz didn't play, within a 3-4 year period, Carson Wentz got a Super Bowl ring. Now, we all know he got hurt late in the season and Nick Foles took over and did his thing in the playoffs and in that Super Bowl. But technically, Carson Wentz was, the architect of that, because he was a definitely strong MVP candidate if he wouldn't have gotten injured. So I definitely think Baker Mayfield is definitely ready to lead. Hell, he did it last year. If you want to be technical about it, when Tyrod Taylor got hurt in that Jets game on Thursday night, the Browns were down 14-0. Excuse me. And Baker just came in first game, rookie year. He came in and inspired, lit a spark, and he gave all the Browns players confidence on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. So in his first few drives, despite the fact they just led to field goals, you can see that team was inspired They were confident. They believed in him. They were ready to rally around him. Plus, he took a team that was 0-16 the previous year and got them 7 wins. He got them 3 wins that beyond expectation, because most people going into last year predicted that if they would go to 4-12, that would be a great improvement. He got them 3 more wins. So I definitely think Baker will be ready to be, step up, be more of a leader this year. Also, how are they going to deal with all the scrutiny of of this hype? Because a lot of national media let's just be real. Certain people in the national media want the Cleveland Browns to fail. What's up, T Congress? How you doing, bruh? Most of the national media want the Cleveland Browns to fail. And they're not getting the love and respect because let's keep it real. A lot of analysts still look at it like because it's the Browns, And yeah, they've been crappy since they came back in '99. But I bet my last dollar, if you were to put this roster in almost any other team in the NFL, I don't care if it's Seattle or Chicago, Green Bay, hell, even Jacksonville, they would have a lot more hype if they were on another team than in Cleveland. And some of these analysts are, fans of other teams, and they're just biased for their team, or they're biased for the certain players that they like. Okay, TC, you got the Browns 10-6 this year. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna give my prediction yet. That's down the line. I'm not gonna give my prediction for records yet until I see what's going on in training camp, as well as how they see as how they do in the preseason for the limited time they can have out there. So I'm gonna hold off on my prediction, my record prediction. But as I was saying, a lot of the national media, well, not a lot, but a certain group of the national media, i.e. Colin Cowherd and Stephen A. Smith, want the Cleveland Browns to fail. So how do they struggle with, proving people like Colin Cowherd wrong? Because Colin Cowherd, he hates Baker Mayfield. Every time, when it comes to Baker, he craps on that man like he ran over his dog or he slept with his wife. I don't know. It's just he just hates Baker and hates the Browns as well. Now, it's one thing to point out facts like, well, they've been bad for so long, this, that, and the other. Yeah, and a lot of analysts have done that. But, they also realize that the Browns are trying to turn around, trying to improve. They don't constantly harp on it. They make the bad 20 years a part of the story, not the story. People like Colin Cowherd make it the story. He thinks, well, if you're not a historical franchise, you can't be good. And that's BS. That's what in any sport, any team could get better. Look at the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors was crappy for what? About a good, at least almost decade. They were the Cleveland Browns of the NBA. But then they started drafting players like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, getting free agents like Andrew Bogut, Andre Iguodala. Then Mark Jackson came in and started developing them. And they started making the playoffs, started becoming contenders. Now, I wish they wouldn't have got rid of Mark Jackson, but they did. But Steve Kerr came along. They won the championship. Then they lost the championship to the Cavs in 2016, got KD, won 2 more championships. They went to 5 straight NBA finals. So any team could get back. Hell, everybody sings the New England Patriots praises, but for a long time, the Patriots were garbage. They were the doormat of the freaking NFL until Robert Kraft brought them. And he also might have brought a few Asian masseuses along the way. No, but once Robert Kraft started buying them, he had a vision. And he hired people like Bill Belichick, who some people say he shouldn't have hired. But look what happened. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give y'all a little trivia. You know what the Patriots record was? Well, the year they won the Super Bowl, do you know what the Patriots record was? It was 5-11. They were coming off of a losing season that previous year. Excuse me. So, yeah. Any team can get better if the if you have a good front office, which the Browns finally have, that's also been holding them back for the last 20 years. Horrible front offices. You had Mike Holmgren, and with Tom Heckert, RIP Tom Heckert. Now, I think if it would have just been Tom Heckert, I think maybe Tom Heckert could have done some things with this team because he wasn't a bad front office guy. It was just Mike Holmgren was overshadowing everything. Then you had Joe Banner and Mike Lombardi, then Ray Farmer, who hell, I wouldn't even trust him to pick a fantasy league team, let alone an NFL team. But that's another discussion for another time. But finally, they went and got somebody in John Dorsey who's been around the NFL, who knows how to build a winning team. And for all you Chiefs fans that want to hate on him, guess what? He was a big part of building that team that you got in Kansas City right now. Don't get it twisted. Okay? Don't see him just say, oh, Andy Reid and that Beach dude built that team. No, John Dorsey got a lot of those players. He traded for Alex Smith, drafted Pat Mahomes, drafted Travis Kelce, drafted Tyreek Hill, drafted Kareem Hunt. Okay? Y'all need to give that man his due and stop hating on him just because he made some mistakes over there. And also, you also got to have a good coaching staff. Now, we're going to see what Freddie do in his first season. But I think he's going to do a pretty good job because he also has a rapport with some of the players that's already been here. Now he's got to build that with the new players. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I went off a little rant here. But how will they, live up to the hype? I think they definitely have a chance of living up to the hype. Now, I'm not gonna sit up and go off no chance, go off big, say they're gonna win the Super Bowl this year. But I definitely think they could be a pretty good team that's gonna be in the playoffs. They will be in the playoffs, and and have a great chance of hosting a home playoff game. And who knows what happens once they get into that playoff game? Anything can happen, especially in football, especially you get high at the right time. Look at the Rams last year. After they won that playoff game against the Cowboys, all bets were off. Excuse me. So, I know. And I know a lot of people want to compare this Browns team to that 2011 Philadelphia Eagles dream team. But the comparisons are very irrelevant. For one, that Eagles team was with a bunch of veterans. This Browns team is with a bunch of younger players. Most of these players are 25 and under. There are very few players on this team that are over the age of 25. That Eagles team was with a bunch of veterans. Excuse me. All these guys on this team are young, so they have a chance to get better. That Eagles team had very little room for error. That was a bunch of veterans that were on, somewhere on their last leg or, late in the prime of their careers. This Browns team, most of these guys are fresh in their prime, so they have a chance to get better. Excuse me. So that's pretty unfair to compare them to the Eagles' dream team. And plus, that Eagles team had a lot more hype than this Browns team. A lot of people was picking them to do big things that year. I mean, people are picking the Browns to do big things, but it wasn't no root for them to fail factor like it is with the Browns. Like I said, you got people like Colin Cowherd and Stephen A. Smith because he's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan that want the Browns to fail in the worst way. Give me another ice. And also, definitely got to talk about OBJ. How will he be in the locker room? How he's gonna get along with Baker, Jarvis, Freddie Kitchens? I think I think OBJ can definitely turn around. Now OBJ has always been flashy and boisterous. I don't expect that to change since he's now here in Cleveland. But I definitely think he can turn around, be a good teammate. And also, I think him being in Cleveland kind of, you know, gives him a change of scenery. He doesn't really have to worry about all the media scrutiny of playing in New York, where if you mess up, they talk about it for a week. Here in Cleveland, it's no more than a day or two at the most, and then we move on. New York, oh, they'll talk about when he had bad games, they dogged the you know what out of him in New York. You know, here in Cleveland, it's just gonna be, well, he had a game. He'll do better next week. New York, they don't play, and New York media is ferocious. T. Carter, you say they're saying the opposite. What do you mean they're saying the opposite? Tell me. But the media in New York, they're ferocious. Okay, that matter of fact, I was listening to an interview on 92.3 The Fed, which is the CBS sports radio station here in Cleveland, with Tiki Barber, and he said it takes a special kind of guy to win in New York. That's why some players don't do good in New York, and then they leave New York and do better. Now, some come in New York and thrive as well. But I think if you put OBJ on just about any team in the NFL, he can definitely thrive. And I could definitely see him thrive here in Cleveland because, one, he has a better quarterback here in Baker Mayfield who's going to get the ball to him instead of Eli Manning, who will overthrow him. Now, yes, Eli Manning is a two-time Super Bowl champion, two-time Super Bowl MVP. But let's keep it real. Eli Manning ain't on that level anymore. Let's be real. They're saying our media markets like New York. Nah. Cleveland media is a little bit more nicer than New York. New York media dogged the ish out of you. Okay? They've dogged the ish out of players. Cleveland media, well, most of Cleveland media is more nicer than New York media. Way nicer than New York media. Oh, and also, as far as training camp, another guy I want to see, and this is a hell of a story, Damon Sheehy Giuseppe. Now, if y'all don't know about this cat, this dude stood outside the Browns facility, pretended and lying that he knew members of the front office staff and talked his way into getting a spot in training camp. So I'm definitely rooting for him. If he makes the Browns, it'll be like it'll be like Willie Mays Hayes in Major League, which was played by Wesley Snipes. When he went to training camp, he wasn't even invited, but he talked his way to trying out, and then he ultimately made the team. So I definitely want to see Damon make it. He's a wide receiver. If not with the Browns, I definitely want to see his NFL dream come true. That's a Cleveland native right there. So I definitely hope he finally gets to pursue his dream and live it out. Whether it's with the Browns or not, it's just a hell of a story. This is the type of story that movies are made of. I know that sounds cliche, but that's true. I definitely hope, Damon's NFL dream becomes a reality. But anyways, I got to get out of here, y'all. I got to work on a couple of videos. In the next few weeks, I'm going to be back with more live streams. I'm going to break down every division in the AFC and the NFC. So y'all be on the lookout for that. I thank y'all for joining me, with my first video and live stream being back since I've been in Chicago. I thank all y'all for coming in with your comments and questions. If this is your first time watching me, don't make it your last. Subscribe to the channel. When you do, click on the bell icon. That way you don't miss any new videos from me. Also, you can donate to me via PayPal or Cash App. I'm about to see you the links right now. Okay, this is my PayPal link. Now, this is my Cash App cash tag. So, yes, I'm very excited for this training camp. I'm definitely anxious to see what the Browns are going to do in this training camp. See how the chemistry is going to develop. See how OBJ is going to fit in with Baker, catching those touchdown passes. Excuse me. And how good of a job Freddie Kitchens is going to do as his first year as a head coach. I'm just excited for the NFL 100th anniversary kicking off this season. So, once again, thank y'all for joining me. Like this video. For those of you watching the playback, leave your comments in the comment section below. Till next time, y'all have a good one. Love y'all to life. QC out. Y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. Or if you watch it on the other side of the world, enjoy the rest of your day.